Hello friends, welcome to CEC Gurukul Live Lectures. Dear friends, this is a session on career counseling called Pratibha Sambardhan, and every Thursday we try to bring for you a different area of your interest. So friends, today we would be talking on liberal education. Now you might be wondering what liberal education is. If you are still unaware what liberal education is, then we would like to tell you all that this session is going to be very, very vivacious for you, because you are going to learn a lot about liberal education through this session of ours. And for this discussion on the topic, we have with us in our studios Vrinda Tandon. Vrinda Tandon is working in the area of liberal education. It is her core area, and she has been counseling students past 4.5 years. So let's take advantages from her expertise and let's try to understand what liberal education is. So first of all, I would like to welcome our guest Vrinda Tandon. Vrinda ji, welcome to the session.
Thank you.
And as I have already, told to our students that you are the most appropriate person to talk on liberal education, as it is your core area. So what is a liberal education? I mean, some people are aware what it is, but some still thinks, I think it is a new area. Is it so? If it is, how it is different?
All right. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. Secondly, I think liberal education, I'm going to break a few myths today. आज कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें होंगी जो मैं बताऊंगी जो सबको लगेगा ओके ये तो बहुत नॉर्मल है and this does happen on a daily basis and we don't really realize it. So अगर मुझे एक definition देनी है of liberal education, it's basically your freedom to choose whatever you would want to study and not what you have to study. आपके boxes of arts, commerce and sciences don't really exist. You can break the box and you can create your own curriculum, you can decide your own degree. जैसे एक हिंदुस्तान में एक बहुत ट्रेंड चलता है ऑफ रोट लर्निंग, एक चीज़ को बिना समझे सिर्फ मतलब रट्टा मार के एक एग्ज़ाम में प्रोड्यूस करना, ये एक ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर है विच विल क्वेश्चन ऑल ऑफ इट. वो बेसिकली कहता है एक डिस्कशन बेस्ड क्लासरूम जहाँ एक स्टूडेंट अपने ओपिनियंस शेयर करे, अपने आप को समझे, अपने आप को एक तरह से एक्सप्रेस करे और बहुत सारे अलग अलग पर्सपेक्टिव्स को अपने क्लासरूम में समझे एंड फाइनली गोज आउट ऑफ अ क्लासरूम विद अ लॉट ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग of their own concepts, and not just concepts which are bookish in nature but concepts that can be applied in the real world, right? Along with that, there's a lot of interdisciplinarity involved. Interdisciplinarity, when I say it is there around us on a daily basis, but we just don't realize it, right? When I say that, I mean, when I take this particular example, I think everybody is going to say ki, हाँ, of course, this is what you meant. So a smartwatch. A smartwatch is nothing but interdisciplinarity at its best. Biology, hardware, software, along with that artificial intelligence, along with that design. इन सब चीज़ों को culminate करके एक smartwatch को create किया जाता है, right? So when we're actually looking at everything around you, there is interdisciplinarity in every single aspect of your life. This was just one example. There are multiple out there. A lot of times people don't understand how interdisciplinarity actually functions in the real world. If I say political science and maths are directly connected, they'll be like, ऐसे कैसे humanities and commerce या sciences का कोई ऐसा subject कैसे merge हो सकता है? The basic concept of political science is voting. Votes are counted. Exit polls come out of probability. So things like these are always there around us on a daily basis, and I think this is something that now, because of a liberal education structure in India, can be done, because at the end of the day, liberal education is not a subject. It's actually it's a pedagogy, it's a way of teaching, and it's a style of learning, and it is there around you, but right now we've just given a structure to it. So yeah.
So now the another important question is, what is the need to learn liberal education? Because the people have this tendency to knowing what are the outcomes, what are the benefits. So what are the benefits of learning liberal education?
All right. I think सबसे पहला benefit, the first benefit that I can think of is one very, very important thing. You understand things from multiple perspectives. For example, in a situation, you need a psychologist, an architect, a social worker, and basically somebody who is an engineer, and then you put them all together. So if an engineer can understand psychology, or a computer science major can also understand psychology, काम expedite हो जाएगा. The work can be done 10 times faster than it could have been done with two people working together, because those two people will also bring their opinions together, right? If one person can think from so many different point of views, they can actually come up with ideas better. That is one. Secondly, the world is changing around you on a daily basis. A lot of times people say ki, okay, so there are good, I mean, we need to be prepared for jobs that don't even exist today. And this is something very new for this generation because now artificial intelligence has come out and everything. But that's not the case. Something like this happened a few years ago as well. In fact, I was talking to ma'am prior to this and I was telling her that about 35 years ago, there were two careers that nobody even spoke about, nobody knew about. And today, they're the center of every single organization out there. What are those two careers? Software engineers and hardware engineers. Because computers never existed in India at that time, right? And up until then, people used to, हमारे पास मुनीम जी होते थे, आज की डेट में एक्सेल शीट्स करती है वो काम. हमारे पास प्रूफ रीडर्स होते थे, आज की डेट में अगेन यू जस्ट पुट इट इन अ सिस्टम एंड सडनली दस प्रूफ रीडिंग डन. बहुत सारी चीज़ें टेक्नोलॉजी ने ओवरकम करी, राइट? आज की डेट में बिकॉज ऑफ AI कमिंग इन, पीपल आर सेइंग दिस इज हैपनिंग अगेन, बट नो, दिस हैज हैपेंड एंड राइट नाउ स्टूडेंट्स आर ऑल्सो प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर थिंग्स दैट विल चेंज इन द नेक्स्ट 5 or 10 years. 2030 के लिए भी उतनी आई मीन अंडरस्टैंडिंग अभी तक नहीं है जितनी शायद अगले साल के लिए हो, शायद उसके 1 साल बाद के लिए हो. So if things are changing so rapidly, of course students will also have to be adaptable. They will have to understand critical thinking, they will have to know logical reasoning, they will have to understand how they can work and communicate better. And this structure can help you with that. And the best part is that I've seen live examples of it. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं ऐसी बात कर रही हूँ, because there have been universities that have been in existence for years now in India which are doing this. And of course, we can't compete with the ones that have been there for 50, 55 years. But this is a concept that finally people have sort of understood, and at least एक decade तो हो ही गया ऐसी universities को in India.
Very true. So we are now acquainted through the knowledge and wisdom of yours that there exist such universities, and where we have been, why we were not thinking about it, or we don't have any such people available to us, those who could tell us. And today we have you, so that you can inform our students that this is the area where you can excel and move ahead. Now, I want to know more. What does interdisciplinary means, as you have yourself used here? Because since ages we have what we are doing. We are learning and studying a particular area, and then we feel, so I have been studying mathematics, physics, chemistry. Now I want to be an engineer. But as you said, interdisciplinary,
Yes.
and you have coined altogether many subjects. What does it means if we talk about it in detail?
Yes. So, ma'am, you've taken an example of physics, chemistry, and maths, PCM, right? Let me add something to that. A lot of times, students are not really interested in chemistry, but because they want to become engineers, so they take PCM, and then finally they go and become engineers. जिसमें भी chemistry, is continued after that. They're not really interested in it, but they're studying it because it's part of the curriculum, right? In such a structure, when you're creating your own curriculum and you're deciding your own degree, because that's the sort of freedom that you're getting, a student can actually not study chemistry anymore and actually end up taking physics and maths together, which can form your base for astrophysics. Chandrayaan 3 happened in India. There were a lot of astrophysicists involved in that who were scientists, right? And वो scientific bent of mind is something that is there in India, but उसको हम cultivate नहीं कर पा रहे because of this entire thing of PCM will lead to engineering, PCB will lead to medical sciences. If you're a commerce with math student, you will move towards BCom. If you're a commerce without math student, you'll go towards BBA. ये जो एक overall thinking है, which has been coming in for years, एक hindrance की तरह भी रही है for students. You know, because what happens is that, for example, somebody is extremely good at economics, but if they actually merge economics and psychology together, it forms a base for behavioral economics, which sometimes students are really good at because वो आपका marketing का base बनता है. Imagine a student who's studying economics and finance, and then taking psychology with it, can actually move towards marketing directly, and they don't really have to think twice after that. Similarly, when I talk about interdisciplinarity, again, ma'am and I were talking prior to this. So she was talking to me about music. I have had kids at, the space where I work in, wherein I have seen somebody studying psychology with performing arts. right? Now, psychology as a subject is about human behavior, right? Performing arts में उस बच्चे ने theatre लिया because that's the stuff that he was good at. Another thing, this student also came from a learning disability background, had dysgraphia. अब आप सोचो एक student who had dysgraphia has studied psychology with performing arts and now is actually working at Accenture as an HR person, right? Because that's the sort of stream that he chose for himself. And this structure provided that. This entire pedagogy provided that. Because this pedagogy gave him the freedom to understand himself better, understand his own discipline better, his craft better, and then decide which direction of this, which branch of this particular discipline did he want to move towards, right? And this is just one example that I'm quoting. I've told you about physics and maths together. Let's talk about biochemistry together. Biochemistry can lead towards, pharmaceuticals. It is forming your base for FMCG today. It's forming a base for every single thing that you see around you today because biochemistry aayega hi aayega. Whichever thing that will be applied or used on a human being will and involves chemicals is biochemistry with it, right? And then you take it from there. So things like these which are there in front of us, where sciences can also be taught in a very different way, where where India can actually produce scientists other than just engineers or just doctors, where they can actually come with researches, where institutions like ISRO can benefit, where institutions like your pharmaceutical companies, your pharmaceutical understanding can be taken forward. So yeah, that's also something that happens in interdisciplinarity. And there are multiple other examples that one can come up with. There was somebody who was telling me the other day that they want to study archaeology, but they want to take history and biology together. Again, I was very new to this space at that time, and I did not know how it functioned. So I was very curious, and I sat down with that student and I asked her that, "Aisa kyun?" And she says, because a lot of people don't understand that the first and the most important part of archaeology is carbon dating. Carbon dating will come from biology. Because at the end of the day, जब आपने evolution भी पढ़ा था, उसमें भी archaeology और carbon dating ही use हुआ था, which was history and biology together. So if a child is coming up with that combination and that interdisciplinarity, वो अपने लिए अपना रास्ता खुद ही set करता जा रहा है, right? A lot of times I have students who want to study computer science and entrepreneurship together, right? So a lot of times I have students who want to study history and international relations.
Wow.
Right? Because how international relations are getting affected by history and vice versa. Right? It's basically how they affect each other. And one combinations that I love, one of the most talked about combinations that I have known about is sociology and anthropology with media studies. How does that work? We're in a media house right now, right? अब यहाँ पे कैसे काम होता है? You have ethical journalists who will understand society. That's the combination, right? So we're actually producing better human beings.
Very true.
Rather than just better students.
Very true.
That helps.
That helps, and what you need to have right now is the better understanding of the world around
Yes.
you, not about the particular job or thing you're doing in your
Yes.
life, but to understand life, understand people, understand
Exactly.
environment. That is the need of the hour, if I'm not
Exactly.
wrong. There were times when we have heard or we are hearing in today's world also, somebody is from a physics background, but he has love for the music and now he's a sound engineer. So if we think about the practical implications, this is the result or outcome of liberal education.
Yes.
Earlier, we hadn't given it a name,
Yes.
that this is a part of the liberal education, but because we have started applying things, तो अब निकल कर आता है सामने कि ये वो liberal education ने आपको एक नया रास्ता दिया है. Now you can study multiple subjects altogether and later on you can decide where you want to go. So there is no compulsion, as we have been into the society जहाँ पर बच्चों के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा pressure होता है कि आप ये नहीं ये पढ़िए. But अगर कुछ ऐसा मिल जाए कि जहाँ parents की मर्जी का भी एक subject हो जाए और अपनी मर्जी का भी एक subject हो जाए, तो it would be,
So
sky's the limit.
A lot of students come to me in in these conversations and they're like, I'm a dancer. I've been studying dance for the past 13 years. I have certification. But now my parents want me to have a safety net. What do I do? Menika, it's okay. You can still take one subject that they like and performing arts with it. So continue dancing, but then continue that as well. A lot of times, these kids actually come up with very interesting research projects because of that. So imagine history and music का एक combined research project, right? Because we're talking about music right now. I have students who talk about painting and English together because that is literature with painting and the sort of work that can come out of that. You know, the paintings that we've seen around us for ages. उसको अगर आप literature के point of view से देखना शुरू करो, your perspective will change altogether. Your appreciation towards art will change altogether.
Wonderful.
Right?
Wonderful.
So that's some of these things that make me happy when I talk about liberal education on a daily basis.
I wanted to add something over here. I know a number of Kathak dancers who are very good in their field, their Kathak dancing. And when I tried to know more about them and asked them, what are you doing apart from your Kathak? So we are doing masters in philosophy. Mena, why philosophy? They said the philosophy gives them the better understanding to learn about their dance forms. So how beautiful it is when you want to learn your dance form more, you have opted for philosophy.
Yeah.
So this is the practical implication, which I think each one of us should, adopt it and apply it, whether we are a student or not student.
So a lot of people actually don't know this. Mark Zuckerberg never completed his degree from Harvard, but actually his combination that he had started off with was in fact computer science and psychology. Because he could understand human behavior and he could understand IT. So together, Facebook was born, right?
Wonderful.
People like Howard Schultz, he is the CEO for Starbucks, right? Now, he was also somebody who doesn't have a hotelier's background, because technically these are coffee shops, a chain of coffee shops, right? He doesn't know how to do that. He's a communication specialist. He has a degree in communication. He doesn't have a degree in business or in hotel management or anything of that sort. And yet he's doing pretty well for himself. So there are multiple examples around you. Jack Ma, so Alibaba's founder, right? I don't know if the world is aware of the fact that he in fact was a professor for English for 2 years prior to starting Alibaba as a company, and today I don't think his 7 generations have to work. He's pretty chill that way. So yeah, there are some very, very live examples out there.
Yes, there are examples, and we always talk about the success stories. We don't try to understand why, what, when, where person has taken that important decision and very crucial in one's life, specifically students who after passing their 12th, the parents as well as the student, they're all in panic. What to do? What is next for them? Some students are very specific what they want in their lives, but some students are still unaware what to do because they have multiple options.
Of course.
But they need not to worry about the options. They have to take all the options all together. They need to, walk for a journey, and they need to be on the road, and time will come. They'll decide what is actually meant for them.
Sorry, I can actually add something to this. So when you say that they're very clear as to what they really want to do, this entire structure actually starts off with foundation courses first, right? Now these foundation courses are forming your base. How does it work? You're going to be studying Indian civilization. You're going to be studying mind and behavior. You're going to be studying literature in the world. And suddenly, even though you have clarity that, okay, I want to do psychology as my major, but then you'll also understand what is the second discipline that really speaks to me and what do I want to study it with. Or you concretize that, no, psychology is a very well thought out discipline that I want to take, and I have actually made my decision very well, and this is what I really want to do. I have tried everything else. I'm done. So yeah, that's how it functions.
And one important thing which I have realized right now, being a parent, we need to think about it. हम अपने बच्चों को सोचने का समय नहीं देते. वो स्कूल से निकलते हैं और हमें लगता है कि हम उन्हें बस एक रास्ते पर झोंक दें और कहीं बस तुम्हें चलना है. Liberal education gives your child a time to think. To think what they are, what they want to be, and how they are going to shape their future. So जो समय देने की आदत हमारी रुक गई है ना, बच्चे अगर समय पर ना पढ़ें तो हम उनके पीछे पड़ जाते हैं. And of course, taking a decision for your careers is very important, and you need to take right decisions at right time. But the need of the hour is not to push your child. Let them try to understand what actually they want and where the world is heading.
Of course.
Now, taking this session forward, now all the students who might be watching us, they might be curious. कहाँ से पढ़ें, कैसे पढ़ें, कितना duration होता है course का,
Right.
how one can go about, how is it easier to get admissions in good colleges? Kindly explain us this in detail.
All right. So, luckily in India right now, there are a lot of universities that are offering liberal education as a pedagogy. Now, I'm not going to name the ones that are doing it like as one particular liberal education department that they have. I'm not going to take those names because I don't think those will help you much. But central universities, for example, particular universities, for example, Ashoka University. You've got Flames down in Maharashtra, you've got Kriya down south. There is a university that's doing engineering with liberal education, which is Plaksha up in Mohali. There are multiple such universities that are working in the realm of liberal education today because they've made it a point that this pedagogy needs to be brought to India as well. This is not just for the West. We can actually benefit from it as well. So, yes, that is one. There are multiple universities that you can apply to. Moreover, one more thing that you should really think of is because this structure is so dynamic, I talked about foundation courses, you in fact get a year and a half to select your majors and your minors. So you begin with foundation courses, you explore for the first 1.5 years, then you declare your major and your minor. After that, you also have to have 2 co-curriculars in your transcript for you to graduate. And along with all of this, your basic base is actually research. So you do research in whatever discipline you've chosen for yourself. That's the best part, right? It's a 4-year program. It's a proper 4-year program that you actually collect credits in. I will not go in depth of that because then it'll get really confusing because for a CBSE student to understand ki, what is that beyond grades? I'll just explain that further. Yes, so that's the overall, the curriculum that you have. After that, because this structure is so dynamic, because it has so many different aspects about you, of course, processes of applications also become very, very dynamic in themselves. We look beyond your grades. When we say we look beyond your grades, applications for such universities are not a cakewalk. Applications for such universities will generally have 4 or 5 different heads, which means almost 6 different pages that you have to fill. Chote, but hai. It'll ask for your personal information, your academic journey, it'll ask for your extracurriculars, co-curriculars, everything that you've done outside the classroom. It'll ask for essays, it'll ask for a letter of recommendation that can come from anywhere, anybody who knows you pretty well. And after that, of course, when all of these universities also start quite early on. So, if you're thinking that you can actually apply to such universities after you're done with your board exams, you'll already be looking at probably the 2nd or the 3rd or the 4th round for some university at that time. So, for example, universities like us, we actually begin in the month of October the year prior. For 2025 intake, 2024 October applications will open for such universities. So, if you want to apply, you might want to think about it now and go to the websites of such universities and start looking at their timelines and then understanding how you want to go further with it. And like ma'am, and as ma'am asked me, is it easy, is it difficult to get into such universities? Be yourself. This entire process is about us trying to know you and us trying to understand if we're a good fit for you or not, right? Because it's a two-way street in such universities. It can't be that you're excellent at what you do. You could be the head boy and then you could be the topper of your class and then you'll be like, oh, I'm just getting into this university. But we also have to see if we're a good fit for you as well, and plus if you'll be able to take care of this rigor, because सुनने में ये बहुत fun and games लगता है that no, you can create your own curriculum, you can decide your own degree and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, simply put, there is a lot of self-study in this as well. So that sort of does matter, right? So I would just, I think, wind up by saying, just be yourselves, put your best foot forward, and let's see how the journey takes you, the application process takes you.
I think this is the quotation for each and every human being. Be yourself.
I swear.
Be yourself and you will be where you want to be, and life will going to take you where actually you want to be.
Oh, wow.
So thank you so much for giving us this Vivesh session, and we would be discussing more and we'll try to take more out of you so that our
Wow,
students are
nice.
benefited. Thank you for giving us this Vivacious session.